The Chicago Bears, I think they just quietly hinted, gave us a lot of information about who the next head coach of the Chicago Bears is going to be. And this comes with a curveball interview that isn't what it seems. It's in person, and it provides a little bit of nostalgia for those of you like me that have been Chicago Bears fans for a really long time. And it's former Panthers and Commanders head coach Ron Rivera. He's interviewing this weekend for the Chicago Bears head coach position. And I think it says a lot about how well this Ben Johnson interview went today. And more on that in a moment. But Ron Rivera, this is a legacy guy, a two-time NFL head coach of the year. He was an integral part of the 85 Bears Super Bowl team, as most of you know. And also, he was a defensive coordinator when the Bears had their last Super Bowl run under Lovie Smith. And a question for the comments: would you like to see Riverboat Ron Rivera as the next coach of the Chicago Bears if we miss out on or pass on Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel? Is he the next guy up for you? Let's chop that up in the comments. So this is all great, but honestly, I don't think Ron Rivera is seriously being considered for this head coach position for the Chicago Bears. For one, it is in person. That screams a Rooney Rule interview. Even front-row choice Mike Vrabel was virtual. And I think it's kind of following a pattern that the New England Patriots did. I expect Mike Vrabel to be the first domino to fall in this coaching cycle. I think it's almost a done deal that he goes to New England. So what did New England do? They did two essentially sham Rooney Rule in-person interviews to get that rule out of the way so they could be cleared out of all the hoops to jump through with the Rooney Rule so they can move fast on a head coaching candidate and just get Mike Vrabel in. I think the Chicago Bears scheduling this last minute in-person interview for Ron Rivera to satisfy this Rooney Rule signifies that this Ben Johnson interview went really, really well. More on that in just a moment, and that they might move faster than we ever thought to try to get him signed because there's some stiff competition. So anyways, it could be another thing as well. I don't think he's a serious contender for this head coaching position, but I think, however, it might be a possible vetting of a candidate to become a defensive coordinator finalist. It's also a great thing to bring in these old school former Bears to just really get their assessment of the organization. And to be a serious contender for the job, I think we're kind of 10 years late on Ron Rivera, to be honest. But he does have an impressive resume, and let's give some credence to that. A linebacker for the 85ers, coached just an absolutely nasty defense for the 06 team that made it to the Super Bowl, a defense that carried them to a Super Bowl under Lovie Smith. So let's give him some props for that. And his time as our defensive coordinator, that really launched his coaching career. We should have hired him around that time. I mean, really gone after him instead of that silly Mark Trestman hire after the firing of Lovie Smith, but still smarts. But after Chicago, he went on to help Cam Newton become an MVP in 2015 with the Panthers, took them to a Super Bowl, and then he just kind of fizzled. And to be fair, he was dealing with a historically ridiculous ownership in Washington for 4 years following his stint in Carolina, kind of always staying around 500, never really making a huge impact beyond that. But let's talk about some positives about Riverboat Ron. He's definitely experienced. And if you look at it, to be fair, it's not really beyond the realm of possibilities that he might be a serious candidate. It kind of fits Kevin Warren's MO if he truly holds the reins in the coaching search and not GM Ryan Poles, as we've been told. He has a pattern of hiring experienced guys, but there's a thought of balancing out a potential hire as well with an experienced coordinator. Hear me out here. Think if Ben Johnson is hired. Perhaps he could be a big-time support to ease him in as someone who knows what it takes to run a complete football team and to call one side of the ball as he does so. I mean, Rivera called the defense while head coaching at numerous points during his head coaching stints with Carolina and Washington. So having a former head coach as a coordinator with ties to the organization, I mean, it could be a good move. But my point is, I highly doubt that you're going to see Rivera as the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. At best, this is a Rooney Rule interview since it's in person. It's a signal that Chicago Bears might be ready to move really fast on Ben Johnson. Could be a possible team consult from someone who knows the lay of the land in the NFL and someone who actually cares about this franchise as a legacy guy. Or it could be a potentially defensive coordinator vetting. Now, as promised, there is some info out regarding this interview of Ben Johnson. And bear with me here. This is a little unconventional as far as source, but there's an anonymous, can I say that? Anonymous insider account called Sears Tower. If you haven't heard of it, it's been incredibly accurate on insider news across the NFL during this offseason, during the season, and a positive report just came out on this interview with Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. It shares that not only are the Bears really impressed by Johnson, but they also may have satisfied any misgivings he may have on coming to Hallis Hall. And I'll just get to what the account had to say here. The Bears were thoroughly impressed. They had high expectations, and it's safe to say he met them, maybe even surpassed them. So from the Bears' perspective, they also think that they were able to alleviate some of his concerns about the Bears' leadership and organization. So like on this, right? Are the Bears willing to not overcomplicate this decision? Just take the top-rated guy. No more getting cute and doing a surprise hire that is so brilliant that no one else in the NFL thought of it. I mean, we've been in that spot, right? If we're in a spot that Johnson still wants to come here, it's been well publicized that he's had his eye on this position since even last year. And the Bears have alleviated the concern about the front office. Can this get done? And to get it done, do they have to move quickly? Because granted, there's competition here. The Raiders, the Jaguars, I think both teams are going to go hard at him. I'm still assuming that Vrabel will be the first domino to fall once again and sign with the New England Patriots. I mean, from the Bears' perspective, they need a PR win, right? Take the PR win. Get an ascending coordinator hired at the right time to get the most out of Caleb Williams. Maybe take the win and place experienced coaches. Yes, even someone like Ron Rivera, put him on staff to help him ease into running a whole organization. Like, what do you guys think? I certainly do not believe that this Ron Rivera sudden interview, get him in right away. The fact that he's in person when even like one of their top choices, Mike Vrabel, was virtual. I don't buy it as a serious head coaching candidate interview. It satisfies the Rooney Rule. It signifies that this interview of Ben Johnson went exceedingly well, and it's also a signal that the Bears are kind of clearing things out so they may be able to move really quickly on this if they decide to do so. What do you guys think? Let's chop it up in the comments. This has been a lot of fun so far watching this coaching search, even though it makes me really nervous. You guys bear down. Let's chop it up, and I'll talk to you soon. See you.